right before I hit record, my mic stand snapped off and hit me in the face. And I'm so sad that it happened right before I hit record instead of right after. It's Saturday night. Friday, I ended up being way too busy to really get anything meaningful done. But today has been very productive. I went through and cleaned up a bunch of stuff surrounding the jump attack. The first thing I needed to do was completely decouple the slash VFX from the animation of the player slashing, so that if we transition out of it or do any kind of animation canceling on the slash, as long as you've created the smear, it stays there. That was really easy, very straightforward, and it works great. And then I started actually implementing the animation cancels involved with the jump attacks, so that if you jump attack right before you land with just enough time to actually get the slash out, then you have successfully animation canceled the jump slash, so you still get the slash VFX in front of you, it'll still deal damage, but you cancel the animation so you're not stuck in the jump attack and you can start running. And it feels really good. It feels really good to control it like that. If you hit just like right on the edge, like if you time it perfectly, the animation feels a little bit strange, but it feels like you successfully did an animation cancel. Whereas for the general player who just like did an air slash and then lands before the animation finishes completely, it still feels really smooth and it feels natural because of the landing animation that transitions you into running from the fall state. Transitioning into that run from the aerial attack also feels really good, especially with the VFX in front of you covering up a bunch of what's happening. So overall, it feels really good. And then I got a bunch done on the wall sliding and wall grabbing. I still need to polish up the actual control scheme, but I decided to wait on that polish until we got some animations that we really want to go with, because the way the friction should work and stuff is going to be at least partially informed by the animation. I mean, the animation has to meet the like gameplay requirements, but if the animation needs us to slow the falling speed a little bit, or if there's a little bit more to the like grabbing part, I think fitting that to the animation is totally fine, because it's not going to change the actual gameplay implications that drastically. My camera died. Usually the big blinking red indicator that goes, hey, the battery's low, is something I see, but not in this time. I definitely think there's still a lot of work I need to do on the specifics of polishing up the control scheme, but since it's a platformer, I think that's going to be one of the most important pieces of the game. So really spending the time to get this all feeling as good as possible and making sure the controls fit what I want, it's worth it. I'm not in any rush to really polish this down immediately. It can evolve with the animation, and it's probably going to evolve with the gameplay as well. I have to imagine that if there are some really fun mechanics, but like the control scheme doesn't quite complement it, then we can adjust the control scheme if it doesn't break the rest of the gameplay. So, you know, I'm not getting married to this control scheme that I'm implementing right now, but I do want it to feel nice. I'm taking the wall grabs and wall cling and wall slide very slowly to make it feel really good. Because honestly, in a lot of platformers that I play, I hate the way wall jumps and wall slides work. And Mega Man X is one of the few games that I actually like how it works, so that's why I'm modeling so much of it off of Mega Man X. Wall jumping in Super Mario Maker makes me want to pull my teeth out, so I definitely don't want to mimic that control scheme whatsoever. I wanted to throw in this transitional animation for when the player turns around, like when you're running left and you click to run right and your character flips around, so that it's not just an obvious like character sprite flip. And that gave me a lot more trouble than I was anticipating. I actually did a screen recording and zoomed in and went through the animation frame by frame to see what was happening that made it feel so strange, and it looked like there were some frames behaving really weirdly. So I slowed down the animation in Engine with some debugging and found that turning right to left versus turning left to right was executing on different frames. If you turned left to right, or if you turned right to left, it worked fine. It indicated to the sprite that it needed to change direction, and then it started playing the animation. However, when you switched right to left, when you switched left to right, wait. When you switched right to left, it worked totally fine. It signaled to the sprite to change direction, and then it played the animation. However, when you changed left to right, it signaled the animation, and on the next frame, it flipped the sprite. So there was inconsistent behavior there, which meant no matter what I was changing on how I actually handled the sprite flipping and the animation playing, it felt weird. And once I discovered that, it didn't take me too long to figure out that it was a bug with the state machine. I essentially had it over prioritizing the player pressing left instead of the player pressing right. You're not always going to do a frame perfect button switch, and the animation shouldn't only function correctly when you do a frame perfect button switch. It was relatively easy to fix once I found that. I just needed to harden up the player input reading, which is something that I meant to do anyway. I kind of just slipped my mind. So I'm glad that I got that all solved. And overall, the player character is really starting to come together. She feels, just playing as Isadora is starting to feel great. Like the jump attacks, the regular attack pattern, her dash, the wall climbing is starting to feel nice. So with all that coming together, we're really making some good, important progress. It does mean that I need to start doing some more actual gameplay design. I need to take the mechanics that I have intended for the levels and start getting them in there to test against this control scheme, as well as figuring out some more of the enemies I want. I want this game to be like a technical, skill-based platformer, not so much like a hack and slash action platformer. I don't want the gameplay to feel slow, but I do want it to feel very like, I want it to feel very planned, you know? This isn't a Metroidvania where you're running back and forth all day long. All these levels are intended to be played through in one direction, and it's always happening in that direction, so I can be very thoughtful and very particular with the enemy layout and the enemy placement, where each section of the level can feel like its own like mini-boss or its own challenge. But obviously saying that I want to make the Dark Souls of Mega Man is stupid and dumb and bad and sexy. But definitely taking inspiration from games where the challenge is the point. It's supposed to be well thought out, more akin to Castlevania with the super well thought out level designs and the extremely careful enemy placement. Doing that, but in a Mega Man X kind of control scheme, so that in a Mega Man X, I mean, but you can't shoot enemies, so it is a sword. I don't want the controls to feel clunky like Castlevania had to rely on, you know. The whip had, it's like, in the original Castlevania, it's like, it felt so bad to play as the main character. The reason Symphony of the Night is such an inspiration isn't because it's a Metroidvania, it's partially just because of how much fun it was to control Alucard. And then Mega Man X, I loved the design of the levels and the way it felt to play. It's all about the challenge, it's all about, you know, getting through, it's all about being able to successfully beat the level. I don't want it to feel like they're throwaway enemies, you know? Like, bats are stupid. Alright, I'm gonna go to bed because I'm tired. I got a lot of stuff done today, though, so that's positive. We'll see if I have more time tomorrow. It's a long weekend, so... Alright, peace. Wait... It is Monday! I actually didn't have a chance to record a devlog on Sunday because I finally found an environmental artist. Found an artist who was interested in taking on some of the environmental work, but one thing that they asked for was an environmental definition document, where I listed a bunch of details about all the environment art and go into a bunch of specifics about assets and the kind of stuff we need to actually build a level. And although I've defined a lot of what I want in these levels in my own design documents and scattered a bunch of different things that I'm keeping track of my designs on, I didn't have a dedicated piece that defines what environmental art needs to be, so I've been really focused on writing that definition for the past 2 days, so I can get it to our new environmental artist and actually get started on some of these environments. It took me a while to get it all written down and organized and make sure all my thoughts were on paper. Now that I've done it, it's very clear, and I started with the Corrupted Forest because we all know that level is my baby, but I can actually go into a little bit of detail on the other levels right now just to hook you in. My plan is to have 4 actual levels, an introductory level and a final level with the final boss, but 4 gameplay levels instead of the 8 in Mega Man. And those levels are a forest level, a tundra level with lots of snow, an underwater level, and an one level that's a little bit more conceptually difficult. It's the sky level, a reference to the way it feels like Mega Man always has a level where you're up in the sky. And this one I want to be up in skyscrapers and running, not necessarily running in the clouds, feels still very realistic. But then also I want to combine some elements of a Shadow Realm, you know, very Yu-Gi-Oh vibes. Because mostly I think it's really cool, and I think it'll be nice to be able to transition from the air pieces to the Shadow Realm stuff. So those are the 4 different general settings. Now the forest is going to be the Corrupted Forest with the Plague Doctor as existed in the Game Jam version. For the underwater level, I want it to be very magical, it's almost like the underwater fairy. I've been referring to it internally as the underwater fairyland. The snow level, I've been referring internally as the Quiet Tundra, and I want it to be very very methodical, a lot of planning. Not necessarily a stealth level, because I think trying to randomly incorporate stealth into the gameplay would be a little bit misguided, but a more careful level. And then the shadowed sky, which is the sky level with the shadow realm, which I want to be more about like intense like platforming mechanics, you know, moving platforms, making tight jumps, those kind of controls. So I've written up the environmental definition for the corrupted forest, and now I need to start writing up the environmental definitions for the shadowed sky, the underwater fairyland, and the quiet tundra. And I'm really excited about it. This artist makes great stuff. I will share with you some I will share with you some of their art once we have it, but I don't know if you noticed by the way I've been giving my updates, but I've been a little bit anxious about trying to find an environmental artist because it's really important, and I felt like I was kind of stalling and not really able to get anyone to even like respond, let alone be interested. So this is a big step forward, and I'm just hoping it'll work out. You know, I'm having like the standard scream and doubts in the back of my head that's like, oh, it's not going to work, or for one reason or another, but I know that's just a mindset thing. It's not really based on anything in reality. I'm making good progress. Fur got me some more iterations on the wall sliding pose and did a big organizational pass that's going to make things a lot easier for us moving forward, but there's nothing super exciting to show for those updates. It's just kind of stuff we did. So my past 2 days have been entirely focused on these environmental definitions, and that's probably what I'm going to continue to focus on, at least for a little bit. But yeah, really happy with the progress so far, but it's very late and I'm very tired. So I'll talk to y'all tomorrow. Peace out. All right, so I think that's the end of this video. The next video is going to start off real strong with a bunch of cool new content. Like I mentioned, I got the environmental definition over to the environment artist, so hopefully we'll be able to see some environment art at the start of the next video. I think there's going to be a lot of cool stuff that gets done, even when I'm busy over the next week and a half or so, which means once I get back to recording, there's going to be way more cool stuff for you. So really looking forward to that. And yeah, so thanks for watching this video. I think we're really getting to a good place with Isadora's Edge, where we got great art coming out for the characters and for the animations and for the sprites. Plus, we got great art. Plus, we finally have the environment artist who came in. So I think we're in a great place to really start cranking out some stuff. The movement engine is feeling really good. I'm really happy with how that's going. And yeah, I think that's it for this video. Thanks for watching. Hit that like button. Don't say lick. Don't say lick. Whatever you do, Kenneth, don't ask people to lick the like button. Yeah, thanks for watching. Appreciate you. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think. And let me know if you have any feedback about the direction the game is taking, or any suggestions one way or another. I think it's really important that the people who are most interested in this type of game are the ones I'm getting feedback from. So if you're watching these videos and enjoying it, let me know what you think. And please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. If you watch this video all the way to this point, then it seems to me that you quite enjoyed the content, or I said something early on that like really made you mad, like really angry. And so you kind of just like sticking around, kind of like hate watching. If that's the case, you don't need to subscribe. That's fine. But if you got to this point and you're not hate watching, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. What am I talking about? Dude, I've lost it. I've locked myself in my room and lost my mind. It really does mean a lot that people are like tuning into what I'm doing and leaving feedback and engaging with my work. I really like it. It's really fun. See you in the next video. Peace out.